Hare Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Purira Jagatacharya Shrilate Srimad His Divine Grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Purira Jagatacharya Shrilate Srimad His Divine Grace. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Govinda Shama Radha Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Ki Jai. Shri Radha Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam. Ita Gaur Premanande. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to Sri Sri Guru, Sri Gauranga. All glory to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya.
Narayanam Namaskritya.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Devi Saraswati Vyasam.
Tato Jayam Mudirayet. Nasta Preshu Bhadreshu.
Nastapreshu Bhadreshu.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Bhagavate Uttama Shloke.
Bhagavate Uttama Shloke.
Bhakti Bhagavati Naishtaki.
Bhakti Bhagavata Naishtaki.
Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you all for coming to Srimad Bhagavatam class. So today we'll be hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 22, Text number 46. Swameva Brahmano Bhakte.
Swameva Brahmano Mukte.
Swam Vaste Swam Dadati Cha.
Swam Vaste Swam Dadati Cha.
Tasyaiva Anugrahe Nanam.
Tasyaiva Anugrahe Nanam.
Bhunjate Chatriyadaya.
Bhunjate Chatriyadaya.
Swameva Brahmano Bhunte.
Swameva Brahmano Bhunte.
Swam Vaste Swam Dadati Cha.
Swam Vaste Swam Dadati Cha.
Tasyaiva Anugrahe Nanam.
Tasyaiva Anugrahe Nanam.
Bhunjate Chatriyadaya.
Bhunjate Chatriyadaya.
Swameva Brahmano Bhunte.
Swameva Brahmano Bhunte.
Swam Vaste Swam Dadati Cha.
Swam Vaste Swam Dadati Cha.
Tasyaiva Anugrahe Nanam.
Tasyaiva Anugrahe Nanam.
Bhunjate Chatriyadaya.
Bhunjate Chatriyadaya. Swameva Brahmano Bhunte. Swam Vaste Swam Dadati Cha.
Tasyaiva Anugrahe Nanam.
Bhunjate Chatriyadaya.
Swameva Brahmano Bhunte.
Swameva Brahmano Bhunte.
Swam Vaste Swam Dadati Cha.
Swam Vaste Swam Dadati Cha.
Tasya Vanagreya Nanam.
Tasyaiva Anugrahe Nanam.
Bhunjate Satriyadaya.
Bhunjate Chatriyadaya.
Swameva Brahmano Bhukte.
Swameva Brahmano Bhukti.
Swam Vaste Swam Dadati Cha.
Swam Vaste Swam Dadati Cha.
Tasyaiva Nugrahenanam.
Tasyaiva Nugrahenanam.
Unjate Kshatriyadayam.
Unjate Kshatriyadayam.
Swameva Brahmano Bhunte.
Swameva Brahmano Bhukti.
Swamvaste Swam Dadati Cha.
Swamvaste Swam Dadati Cha.
Tasyaivanugrahanenanam.
Tasyaivanugrahenanam.
Unjate Kshatriyadayah.
Unjate Kshatriyadayah.
Swameva Brahmano Bhunte.
Swameva Brahmano Bhukti.
Swamvaste Swam Dadati Cha.
Swamvaste Swam Dadati Cha.
Tasyevanugrahenanam.
Tasyaivanugrahenanam.
Unjate Kshatriyadayah.
Unjate Kshatriyadayah. What's the word? Swam.
Swam.
Om. Eva.
Eva.
Certainly.
Certainly.
Brahmana.
Brahmana.
The Brahmana.
Brahmana.
Bhukti.
Bhukti.
Enjoy.
Enjoy.
Swam.
Swam.
Om.
Om.
Vaste.
Vaste.
Clothing.
Clothing.
Swam.
Swam.
Om.
Om.
Dadati.
Dadati.
Gives in charity.
Gives in charity.
Anybody know another verse where that Dadati is?
Yeah.
Say that Dadati. Yeah. Yeah, that's too. That too, because that's the charity. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. An act of instruction, giving charity and exchanging charity. Dadati prati griyati griyama kyati purchiti. Cha
Cha.
and
And.
tasya
Tasya.
is
Is.
eva
Eva.
certainly
Certainly.
anugrahena
Anugrahena.
by the mercy of
Mercy of
anam
Anam.
food grain
grains.
bhunjate
Bhunjate.
eats
Eats.
Kshatriyadaya.
Kshatriyadayah.
Other divisions of society headed by Kshatriyas.
Other divisions of society headed by Kshatriyas.
Translation. The Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras eat their food by virtue of the Brahmanas' mercy. It is the Brahmanas who enjoy their own property, clothe themselves with their own property, and give charity with their own property. Please repeat. The Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras
Vaishyas and Sudras
eat their food by virtue of the Brahmanas' mercy.
eat their food by virtue of the Brahmanas' mercy.
It is the Brahmanas
It is the Brahmanas
who enjoy their own property,
who enjoy their own property,
clothe themselves with their own property,
clothe themselves with their own property,
and give charity with their own property.
and give charity with their own property.
Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is worshipped with the words Namo Brahmanaya Devya, which indicate that the Supreme Lord accepts the Brahmanas as worshipable gods. The Supreme Lord is worshipped by everyone, yet to teach others he worships the Brahmanas. Everyone should follow the instructions of the Brahmanas, for their only business is to spread Shabda Brahma, or Vedic knowledge, all over the world. Whenever there is a scarcity of Brahmanas to spread Vedic knowledge, chaos throughout human society results. Since Brahmanas and Vaishnavas are direct servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they do not depend on others. In actuality, everything in the world belongs to the Brahmanas, and out of their humility, the Brahmanas accept charity from the Kshatriyas, or kings, and the Vaishyas, or merchants. Everything belongs to the Brahmanas, but the Kshatriya government and the mercantile people keep everything in custody, like bankers. And whenever the Brahmanas need money, the Kshatriyas and Vaishyas should supply it. It is like a savings account with money with which the depositor can draw out at his own will. The Brahmanas, being engaged in the service of the Lord, have very little time to handle the finances of the world, and therefore the riches are kept by the Kshatriyas, or the kings, who are to produce money upon the Brahmanas' demand. Actually, the Brahmanas or Vaishnavas do not live at others' costs. They live by spending their own money, although it appears that they are collecting this money from others. Kshatriyas and Vaishyas have no right to give charity, for whatever they possess belongs to the Brahmanas. Therefore, charity should be given by a Kshatriya and Vaishyas under the instructions of the Brahmanas. Unfortunately, at present moment, there is a scarcity of Brahmanas, And since the so-called Kshatriyas and Vaishyas do not carry out the order of the Brahmanas, the world is in a chaotic condition. The second line of this verse indicates that the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras eat only by virtue of the Brahmanas' mercy. In other words, they should not eat anything which is forbidden by the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas and Vaishnavas know what to eat, and by their personal example, they do not eat anything which is not offered first to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They eat only prasad, or remnants of the food offered to the Lord. The Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras should eat only Krishna prasad, which is afforded them by the mercy of the Brahmanas. They cannot open slaughterhouses and eat meat, fish, or eggs, or drink liquor, or earn money for this purpose without authorization. In the present age, because society is not guided by Brahminical instruction, the whole population is only absorbed in sinful activities. Consequently, everyone is deservedly being punished by the laws of nature. This is the situation in the age of Kali. Om Ajnana Tamarandhyasya Gurunjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurue Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayan Dadati Swavadantikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sagana Raghunatham Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Cha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopaka Kanta Radha Kanta Namostite Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavanishwari Vrishabham Shruti Devi Pranami Haripriye Namaste Girajaya Shri Gauranga Sheshakleshna Shaya Pamanam Vancha Kalpatra Kripasim Divire Vacha Patitanam Bhavane Vaishnavi Namo Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, here we're hearing about the importance of Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, and the importance of service to such Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. This purport's rather heavy and could be seen as disturbing to some folks. What does it mean that the Brahmanas own everything? The natural tendency for someone raised in the United States is when we hear about monarchy or the caste system, we cringe. It's not, what we are raised with, this concept of hierarchy in terms of government, in terms of understanding how a population should be governed. And when you hear that, the Brahmanas are the owners of everything, that kind of, grinds us the wrong way much of the time. But this is because we do not understand the purpose of the world. In ignorance, the people are thinking that I'm going to enjoy this inferior material energy. Aparayamitasthana prakritim vinay prabhyu bhuta mahabaho yeyadam dayate jagat. Living entities in this material world are trying to enjoy this inferior material energy. But there is a superior energy, which comprises of us, the soul. Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita. So because we're trying to exploit the material energy, because of our illusion, we think that this world is meant for our enjoyment. And therefore the facilities and the resources in the world are meant for the pleasure of man. And of course, the Christians, sometimes they say, God gave us dominion over the plants and animals. And so they think that means we can slaughter them and enjoy them. Although the very first page of the Bible, seriously, if you read the Bible and you look at the first page, it says, God gave man the green things of this earth to eat. On the first page, it says to be a vegetarian. So, this world is not for our enjoyment. The world has a purpose. Due to our misuse of free will, we've come to the material world to enjoy. But by following the Vedas, one can return back to Godhead. And so this world is a rectification center, or a rehabilitation center for souls that have misused their free will. But our free will is not taken away. We can still misuse our free will as long as we want. But if we enjoy according to Shastra, of course we're not about that. This is like karma kanda, but we're not endorsing that. But all the Vedas exist to elevate the souls, even from the lowest levels. Even karma kanda exists to elevate souls from the deep mode of ignorance. Of course, our focus is Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotional service. But the purpose of the world is to rectify the fallen conditioned souls. So when we understand that everything is meant for Krishna's service, and that God is the supreme proprietor and enjoyer of everything, Bhoktaram Yagitapasam, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, Surgam Sarvabhutanam Gyatamam, Ashantanuchiti. And God is the proprietor and enjoyer of all sacrifice and all austerity. He's the Lord and Master over all planets and demigods. He's the supreme friend of all living entities. And in understanding that, we can attain peace. And Srila Prabhupada called this verse 529 in the Bhagavad Gita, he called it the peace formula. And so it's very simple to be peaceful if we understand that everything we're doing should be done for. And if it does happen, benefit because the Lord is our friend. And by that conception, by that knowledge, one can be surrendered and can become peaceful. So, in the Bhagavatam, there's two very famous verses that, when understood properly, they give us the ability to see how the world should be governed. One of them is one very famous Savai Pumsam Pa Dharma Yatra Bhaktir Hoksajay Haitim Kyapatiyata Yayatma Suprasinti. That the supreme Dharma, Paradharma, Savai Pumsam Paradharma, the supreme Dharma for humanity at large, for all humanity, is that which they can attain loving, devotional service to the personality of Godhead, to an Hoksajay, to the Transcendental Lord. Such service has to be uninterrupted and unmotivated to completely satisfy the self. So it is an unmotivated, uninterrupted devotional service that we actually find real Atma Suprasiditi. And like I tell people, if you're satisfied, what do you need? Krishna says that satisfaction of the mind. It's the duty of a spiritual person to become satisfied. Satisfied with their spouse, satisfied with their prasadam, satisfied with their living condition, becoming satisfied with whatever Krishna is providing us. And then after that, Krishna says, or Sutta Goswami in the Bhagavatam, he says, Dharma swanushtita pumsam vishvakshena katashiya notpariya yatira tim shrama eva kevalam. He says that all the dharmas that we perform in this material world, the human dharma, dharma swanushtita pumsam, vishvakshena kata, if they don't induce this rati, this attraction for the message, the kata of vishvakshena, of the Supreme Lord, then they're shrama eva kevalam, they're useless. So all of the dharmas, all of the endeavors that humans may engage themselves in are useless if they don't direct us toward the goal of life, which is this message of the personality of Godhead. And ultimately that message is that Krishna wants you to come home. Krishna is eager for your return to him. He's eager for you to come and turn your face toward him again. And he's eager to re-engage in this love affair of which we have turned our back upon. So therefore, Krishna doesn't just throw us into this hellish world, which he himself says is temporary and full of misery. That would be cruel. So Krishna gives us a system by which we can free ourselves, by which we can extricate ourselves from material energy. And that system is outlined in the Vedic literatures. So the Vedic literatures are more than just like a scripture. They are dealing with everything imaginable. I kind of laugh sometimes because the scientists, sometimes you hear like, they like the Donner Veda, all this amazing military science, and it's all there. You can read all this great military science, and there's all these chapters in Donner Veda, and this is all accurate. But they just at the very end, they put this one mythical chapter in this scientific textbook on fighting, and then at the very end, they just put a mythical chapter on mantra weapons. That doesn't exist, they say, but all this stuff exists, but this mythical part doesn't exist. So that's very ignorant. Rather than it not existing, we don't understand it. So the Vedas speak about everything. There's Ayurveda, there's Dana Veda, there's so much information in the Vedas that give us guidelines on how to live. And it's an understanding that this Varnashram system, Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, the 3rd chapter, that the Varnashram system is given by the Lord. It was the Lord who actually put this Varnashram into place. So Varnashram is not a concoction or an imposition on human society. Just like if you get a bunch of dogs together or get a bunch of wolves together, a natural hierarchy arises. You'll find that very soon there will be an established alpha male, an established alpha female. And if you've ever been around cats, it's the same way. There becomes a hierarchy. And they very much respect that hierarchy. And those who don't respect that hierarchy in the animal kingdom are punished rather severely. So in the same way, humans, they also naturally form this hierarchy. It's not an unnatural thing. There are Kshatriyas, there are Brahmanas, there are Vaishyas, and there are Sudras. Some people are born with that karma and guna and karma, that quality and action to be Kshatriyas. Some people just have it in them to be very good leaders and to be, aggressive fighters and protectors, whereas some people are naturally inclined to being Brahmins. They naturally have this propensity to learn the scriptures, to teach the scriptures, to worship the deity, and to teach people how to worship the deity, to engage in sacrifice, and to teach others how to engage in sacrifice. This is the duties of a Brahmana. Some people naturally have that propensity. And even if that propensity isn't cultured by knowledge, they're intellectual people. They're teachers and scholars. And some people are just born to make money. You find some people are Vaishyas. They are very good at understanding how to make money, and they're inclined toward that activity. And some people are Sudras. They just are happy to work in service to the other varnas and ashrams. So this is not an imposition. This is natural. And if society is running right, if people are in the right minds, this happens naturally. So when we understand that the purpose of life, when you put Krishna in the center, we're always saying that, right? Put Krishna in the center. When you put Krishna in the center of our lives, and that means also our society, and when we accept that the goal of life is Krishna, and we understand that the Brahmanas are those who are expounding and teaching us about Krishna and teaching us how to become close to Krishna, and it is in serving the Vaishnavas and the Brahmanas, which are synonymous in a perfect society. It's in serving the Vaishnavas that one actually gets closer to Krishna. So therefore, the Vaishnavas and the Brahmins are the real leaders of society, the real controllers or rulers of society. Because in this perfect society, this Daidi Varnashram, Srila Prabhupada called it, everybody understands the goal, and so the leadership is based on not sense gratification. Now when we elect leaders, leaders are, even in especially in democracy, the leaders are putting themselves out there, are commercializing themselves and advertising themselves as those who are going to provide better sense gratification for a social economic group. So I'm waving my hand out and speaking to the blacks, the poor, the Latinos, whatever it is, the LGBTQ, and I'm saying that if you elect me, you're going to have a better state of sense gratification. You're going to have a better state of being. And so all of the policies in this material world are being done on that basis, that you're going to get better sense gratification if you elect me or if I'm the leader. Whereas a real society is based on a leader is doing everything in such a way that it's elevating everybody to Krishna consciousness. Because such a leader understands the goal of life and learns that goal of life from the Brahmanas. Therefore, the statement here is that the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras eat their food by virtue of the Brahmanas' mercy. And this is because even Krishna worships the Brahmanas. Even Krishna worships the Vaishnavas. That the Vaishnavas are the saviors of the world. And in serving the Vaishnavas, everything is achieved. That's the service to the devotees, is the ultimate sacrifice. And so the Brahmanas, although they're very renounced, everything is meant for their service because their service is that by which the human society is being elevated to Krishna consciousness, thus fulfilling the goal of human society, which is ultimately to go back home, back to Godhead. So I thought of this verse, and I don't have it memorized in Sanskrit, but I got my sloka book here, so I was able to find it. Very famous verse, Jira Prabhu quotes it a lot. Lord Rishabhdev. Mahatsevam dvara maharva muktes tamo dvaram yoshitam sangi sangam mahantaste samajita prashanta vimanyava sudra sadhavo vamayava sudrida sadhavo ye. This is Lord Rishabhdev speaking to his sons. He says, one can attain the path of liberation from material bondage only by rendering service to highly advanced spiritual personalities. These personalities are impersonalists and devotees. Whether one wants to merge into the Lord's existence or wants to associate with the personality of Godhead, one should render service to the Mahatmas. For those who are not interested in such activities, who associate with people fond of women and sex, the path to hell is wide open. The Mahatmas are equiposed. They do not see any difference between one living entity and another. They are very peaceful and are fully engaged in devotional service. They are devoid of anger and they work for the benefit of everyone. They do not behave in any abominable way. Such people are known as Mahatmas. So there's a lot of information in that verse. Very powerful and incredible piece of transcendental knowledge. But the idea is that one can attain liberation, the actual liberation, the transcendental freedom, which we are all after, which we're all seeking. Lord Chaitanya says, the nectar for which we're always anxious. And real liberation means devotional service to Krishna. That is attained by serving the devotees, serving the Vaishnavas very nicely. Because the Vaishnavas can bestow mercy upon you, they can bestow knowledge upon you, and their blessings are real. That's something that is, I guess it's pratyak, you have to experience it yourself, that by doing devotional service to the devotees, serving the devotees very nicely, serving your spiritual master very nicely, one will become mystically imbued with the ability to understand Krishna consciousness. So, Krishna says, Tesham satatam yuktadam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam. That we get this intelligence. Krishna says, by serving with love, constantly one gets this intelligence. I will give them the intelligence by which they can come to Dami Buddhi Yogam Tam. So, how do we serve Krishna constantly? So many people, it's commonly seen people They come and they say, I don't need a guru because God speaks to me within my heart. And Krishna says that, no, that after you engage in devotional service constantly with love and devotion, then I can speak to you within the heart. So we have to engage in devotional service constantly, and the way we do that, Tadvidi Pranipatena Pariprashvena Sevaya Upadekshanti Degyanam Jnanastata Darshina. We have to approach a spiritual master. And by approaching a spiritual master, we can become engaged in the factual service of the Lord. So it's not a speculative thing, it's not a concoction. Devotional service is very real, but it has to be done properly. Devotional service is under the jurisdiction of Radharani, it's under the jurisdiction of the divine energy of the Ladini Shakti, and therefore one has to come across someone who is in that devotional service in order to attain it. Otherwise, we're only performing Karma Yoga at best. And I'm doing this for Krishna, I'm doing that for Krishna, I'm giving the results to Krishna. But factual devotional service, Shuddha Bhakti, is manifest when we're serving the devotees and we're serving the devotees who are serving the devotees who are serving the devotees who are serving the mission of Lord Chaitanya or of Krishna. And Krishna has a purpose. So we're factually serving the Lord in His purpose. That purpose is ultimately always, whether it be in the form of the Lord personally or in the form of the Lord's devotees, we're serving the Lord in His ultimate mission. Paritranaya sadhanam, protecting and serving the sadhus or the devotees. Vinashaya duskritam, destroying the duskriti, destroying those unfavorable elements in society, the demons. Of course, we don't do that by war or by weapons in this age. We do that by the power of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In that way, we kill the demoniac mentality within the demons by giving them lots of prasadam and by turning them into devotees. Just like Jaga and Madai were the worst demons, but they were given the mercy of Lord Nityananda, and therefore they became great devotees. They were killed. The demoniac nature was killed by Lord Nityananda's love. And so, Dharma Swanushtita, re-establishing Dharma. Dharma Samstapanartaya, by re-establishing Dharma. So what is the ultimate Dharma? The ultimate Dharma is Yato Bhakti Ardhoksaje, is to perform loving devotional service to Krishna. So we have to come across someone who's factually engaged in the service of the Lord, in some way or another assisting the Lord in those activities. So Lord Chaitanya came and delivered the land of Bharat, and Srila Prabhupada came and delivered so many of us, and now we're also working for Srila Prabhupada, working for Lord Chaitanya and delivering others. But everything, this is all Krishna. All of this devotional service, this whole movement, is under the divine energy. It's under Radharani's protection. It's not of the material world. The Krishna consciousness movement is not a material thing. It's 100% spiritual. And if you read the Chaitanya Charitamrita and the Chaitanya Bhagavat, you see the activities of the Lord, so beautiful and so wonderful. And then you see the activities that Srila Prabhupada gave us. And you realize that we are living in that world. Even the jokes and the playful activities of the devotees, they're fighting to touch each other's feet, and many times you find that Lord Nityananda and Advaita Acharya, they have, like mock fighting. You find devotees, they do these pastimes. And they go out and deliver the fallen conditioned souls, distribute books, do Harinam Sankirtan, take prasadam, relish Krishna prasadam, feed each other more prasadam than we can eat, which is very common. Jagadananda Pandit was, always feeding Lord Chaitanya too much. And Lord Chaitanya would become very scared because he was scared to tell Jagadananda Pandit, no, I don't want any more prasadam. So the Lord Chaitanya would eat 10 plates and just keep eating. Of course, he's God, he can do that. So. But this is the Krishna conscious movement. And everything is here. Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda are here. The holy name is here. Mahaprasadam is here, the devotees are here. So if we have the eyes to see it, we can realize we're in this spiritual world right now, this Krishna conscious movement, this temple is not in the material world. And it is in coming in contact with these Mahatmas, great devotees, that we can become factually engaged in the service of the Lord. And therefore we can associate with the personality of Godhead. One should render service to the Mahatmas. For those who are not interested in such activities, who associate with people fond of women and sex, the path to hell is wide open. So, those who are associated with material energy, intoxication, sex, these types of base activities which have no ultimate value unless engaged in the service of Krishna, to the degree we associate with that, we're engaged in the material energy. That has nothing to do with the spiritual energy. These are the activities of the animals, the activities of the material world. So the human form of life can transcend that material concept of life, the material conception of life. And the path to hell is wide open, and it's, it's very easy to see, that in the beginning these things may seem very nice, but as we continue on engaging in sinful activities, we begin to find ourselves in hell, in this world. And we just go out on First Avenue. You don't have to go to hell. You can see it right there. I mean, there's this drug out that actually, you can see it. It's turning people into literal zombies. They're bending over like this and walking around, and suffering like anything. And so, Krishna says, Purusha prakriti stohi bhakte prakriti jangunam karnam gunasanga syara sarvya jangashu. Purusha prakriti stohi, that the living entity situated within this material prakriti, bhakte prakriti jangunam, he's enjoying various enjoyments that are born of the gunas. Jangunam, born of the gunas. Bhakte prakriti jangunam. He's going about enjoying the gunas, the modes of material nature. Karnam guna sangosya. Why? Because he's associating with such modes of material nature. Therefore, sadasag yoni janmashu. He's taking various bodies, sad, asad, both good and evil. He's taking birth in good and evil wombs, yoni janmashu. So, we have to understand that by associating with those who are situated in Krishna consciousness, by associating with Srila Prabhupada, by reading his books, we become spiritualized. And we become empowered, and we become situated in the spiritual world. And in rendering service, all the realization comes. It is in that devotional service that we become liberated. The Mahatmas are equipoised. So, equiposition is very important. It means they are they're not disturbed by happiness and distress. They're not emotional. Their emotions are spiritual. The Mahatmas don't let their emotions determine their devotional service. Devotional service is going to continue in all circumstances, in all times, and in all places. No matter what the circumstance may be, we have to continue loving Krishna. Even if everything is gone, we can still chant. So, we're always going to take shelter of Krishna. And therefore that's a real sadhu. Bhajate mama nanyabhak sadhu eva samantapyaha. A real sadhu is he who has ananya bhakti, unflinching devotional service. There's one devotee who used to be here, Bhakti Anna, who became ananya bhakti. Dasa. Unflinching devotional service. And therefore Krishna says, you're sadhu, sadhu eva samantapyaha. Even if you commit apichet siddharachara, even if you commit the worst things, but if you're unflinching in your service, so we have to become like that. And so a Mahatma is equipoised. They're very peaceful and fully engaged in devotional service, devoid of anger, and they work for the benefit of everyone. So this is a brahmana, a real brahmana. Means they are engaged in the service of everyone. A brahmana in traditional society doesn't, deal with money, doesn't deal with management things, because he's really focused on just teaching people about Krishna and worshiping the deity and engaging others in the deity worship. And that's very wonderful. Like we see our, brahmacharis also kind of get to experience that to some degree. That, all of the needs are being maintained by Krishna. I'm in the temple, brahmacharis, we're in the temple, prasadam is there, clothes are there, shelter is there, so that affords one who's trying to be a brahmin more time to read, more time to study, more time to teach others. And, that's why Brahmins also need to be austere. The real Brahmins are austere. Krishna says austerity, peacefulness, cleanliness, knowledge, wisdom, religiousness, and truthfulness. These are the qualities by which the Brahmanas work. So if we want to take second initiation, we have to become Brahmins. So that means we don't engage in sense gratification. Sense gratification always means I have to work hard. Always. You want to engage in sense gratification, there's going to be a cost. So the Brahmins are austere because they're not engaging in so much sense gratification. They have tapa, they're renounced. Even if they're householders, they're still living peacefully and renounced. And so, therefore, that affords them more time to engage in devotional service. And therefore they can be always engaged. And in that engagement, they're serving everybody. It's not that, we just sit at the temple and eat prasadam. It's a service. It means that we have to somehow or other work for Krishna to spread this Krishna consciousness, whether distributing books or speaking to others or, studying ourselves so that we can become ready to give a class with absolutely no preparation, not having read the verse. We should be able to speak anytime and not behave in any abominable way. Those are Mahatmas. And so those are the real representatives of Krishna. And so this verse is stating that they are the really owners of everything. Krishna is the owner of everything. Ultimately, Krishna owns everything. But the Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas are Krishna's representatives. Therefore, in a perfect society, all resources should be given to them to serve Krishna. You see the great devotees who appear with Srila Prabhupada, the Prabhupada disciples, these amazing souls, they gave everything to Prabhupada right there, because he was such a Brahman, such a perfect Vaishnava, such a pure soul who was not engaged in any material activity. There was zero chance of being cheated. He's zero sense gratification. They gave everything to Prabhupada. Mahavishnu Maharaj, he had this huge inheritance. And he joined the temple and immediately gave the entire inheritance to the first London Rath Yatra. Or not the first London, but the big one that Srila Prabhupada danced in.
San Francisco?
No, London.
Oh, no.
Mahavishnu Swami. And when he joined, he had this big inheritance, and he gave it all immediately. That's how that big Rath Yatra in London took place, the first big Rath Yatra. Not the one that caused the traffic jam. But, And so I was hearing too Indradini Maharaj memories and how he gave everything he had. He kept $10. He gave it all to Prabhupada, and then he gave that $10 to Prabhupada in a letter. They had so much faith in Prabhupada. Prabhupada was such a Maharaj, such an amazing devotee. So, it's in this service of the Vaishnavas that we actually become liberated. And therefore, in a real society, everything is meant for their service. And a Vaishnava means they're serving everyone. A Mahatma, where Krishna defines the activities of a Mahatma. Satatam Kirtayantamam. Their engagement is to chant and to teach people about Krishna. Kirtayantamam. Yatantash Kujavataha. Although Srila Prabhupada had so much wealth coming through, Yadantashtra he was engaged, always very determined to serve Krishna at any cost. Great determination serving Krishna. And Namashantashtamam Bhakta, always bowing down before Krishna with great love and devotion. That's a Mahatma. And so to serve such a soul, to serve a devotee is a great honor and pleasure. And by that service we will become liberated, and then the whole society would be perfect if that's the case, if we had leaders of that quality and real brahmanas. So that's about all I have to say. I've had a question since like beginning of class. So.
I was wondering, like, how much does like a Vaishnava try to act within like a caste system? Like, for example, like, you know, maybe they need to like act like a Sudra and like clean a toilet, or maybe they need to like sell some things to like help fund the project, or like someone's in a fight, they gotta protect their friend.
The Vaishnava is transcendental to the Varna and Ashram, ultimately. Always transcendental. But we also have a certain role we may play most of the time. Like Ram Gopal, literally, he's on the altar, he's doing the greeting the deities, and he immediately goes to clean the bathrooms and feed the birds. So you see, and then, you know, he used to, back when before he was, he slowed down a bit, he's getting older, you know, but he would wake the deities, dress the deities, bathe the Shilas, do the Guru Puja, greet the deities, feed the birds, clean the bathrooms, work in the restaurant, and then do the evening arti, put the deities to sleep, and chant his rounds. So that's Vaishnava.
So should a society try to aim to be reflect the caste system, or should everybody try to be?
We're not. This is not the caste system. This Varnashram is not the caste system. The caste system is a artificial imposition that exists in India and that's dying out because of its, you know, it's like racism or anything else. But the Daini Varnashram is in the service of the. So, Vaishnava will do anything for Krishna. You know, if it requires us to be a Kshatriya, we'll be a Kshatriya. If it requires us to be a Sudra, we'll be a Sudra. But some, you know, not everybody's going to be able to, you know, give a class, you know, an expert class. Not everybody's going to be able to, you know, worship the deity with expertise. Not everybody's going to be able to go fight, you know, the criminals that are trying to rob the temple. You know, we're not asking. So we have a propensity of which we're inclined, and which kind of becomes manifest in our devotional service. We're not bound to that. The caste system makes you bound to that by your birth. If you're born a Sudra, there's no chance you ever being a Brahmana. Whereas Daini Varnashram means everybody's born a Sudra in Kali Yuga. And whatever you know, by the training, Sanatana Goswami says in the Hari Bhakti Vilas, that just as bell metal is transferred to gold by an alchemical process, by the process of Diksha, even a Chandala, or someone lower than a Sudra, can become a Brahman, a perfect Vaishnava. So, Vaishnava is beyond all of that. Still, the system works in the diving form that, you know, even though Vaishnavas are beyond all of that, still, in order to work society, there still has to be merchants. There has to be merchant Vaishnavas, and there has to be Kshatriya Vaishnavas. And you see that, you know, those exist. You know, Nanda Maharaj was a Vaishya. He's Krishna's father. And Arjuna was a Kshatriya. So Vaishnava is beyond all that. We shouldn't meditate so much on that. We should really just meditate on what is the order of our Guru. That's our meditation. What is the order of our Guru? And in that, in fulfilling that, we'll find our position. Our position will become manifest. But we may have to, you know, change. And then we see that actually the Varnashram, it's like a little Varnashram here. I always see that. We have Brahmins, we have people on the altar and that are engaged in that type of service, and we have managers, Kshatriyas, and we have, you know, we have our Sudras who are working for Krishna. You know, maybe someone's not able to follow all the regular principles, but they're working for Krishna. And they're engaged happily in this Krishna conscious, mini Krishna conscious society we have. And under the expert management of Mother Sandamani works fantastically. Gauranga?
I was gonna say that, at least there's brahmanas that are just talking about in this for simple parts. You know, you're mentioning how it's kind of be disturbing to some societies, because oftentimes you see that, Kali Yuga people have lost the bodies of brahmana. And I was listening to a lecture by my spiritual master, and he was saying how, they ran into this brahmana, and, he had taken some money from some Christians to convert to Christianity. So in the daytime, he was going out and preaching Christianity, but then going and worshiping Ishtar Shila because all their Brahmana grihastas were. So he didn't have like legit conversion, but yeah, he was taking money from the Christian society. And so I was thinking, it made me think of this lecture that I was reading by Prabhupada last night, where he's saying, so society, they just have legs and like belly, but there's no head. So the Krishna consciousness society is meant to create a head for everyone to follow. And you can see so many people that are attracted to spiritually charismatic people or teachers or whatever, because people are looking for direction.
Yeah, my Gurudev likes to kind of say that, you know, like the Brahmanas were once in charge of society and that started to go away, you know, like there was a time when even in like most of the world was theocracy in some way, shape, or form. I mean, the Pope was the head honcho of the whole European society, and then that, you know, the Pope was very corrupt. You know, Jesuit Borgia, really corrupted things happened, and so then you know that was overthrown. King Henry, you know, broke that, and the Kshatriyas became the head honchos, and then, you know, in the American Revolution, the Vaishyas rose up and overthrow the Kshatriyas, and now this is a Vaishya society, and now the Sudras are taking over. You know, now we're going next phase of the Sudra society, so get ready. All right, Srimad Bhagavatam.